Serious, those in interracial marriages. What obstacles do you face, have you faced that you weren't expecting? I'm half Korean and my wife is white. I have 2 kids. One kid is obviously of ambiguous ethnic heritage and the other is blonde hair and blue-eyed. My son takes after me and my Korean side. My daughter takes after her mother. My father had blonde hair as a kid and is blue-eyed. I never thought I would have to explain to my daughter that she is really my daughter. I have had people come up to me and tried to stop me from picking her up. I've had people straight out ask me who her father is. Why would an Asian guy have anything to do with a white kid? With my daughter there, I tell them that she is my daughter and that they need to frick off. However, she is young and it leaves doubt in her head. She looks at me and we look nothing alike. I have naturally tanned skin, almond eyes, and brown hair and eyes. She is fair-skinned, round eyes, blonde hair, and blue eyes. It worries her. It worries her that it's so obvious strangers have not believed me when I told them she was my daughter. She is mostly good now. We got my dad to send a bunch of pictures of when he was little and my parents visited more often. She would see her grandpa had hair like hers and eyes like hers. That helps a lot. She knows he is my father and she looks like her grandpa. I don't look like grandpa. I look like grandma. Another thing that deals with my daughter. So I don't speak Korean to my kids, but they hear me speaking it when talking to my family. The result is that they have picked up some words. So my daughter was asked why she used a Korean word and she said I am Korean. Because well, she is. The person apparently tried to tell my daughter she did was not. Thankfully my wife was there and shut that crap down. My daughter uses what Korean words she knows and asks a lot of questions about how I grew up. I think she does it to connect with me given the above issue. Final thing. Apparently white people feel a lot more comfortable saying crazy crap around other white people. Someone say something stupid and my wife is you know I am married to an Asian guy right? White man, Hindu, Tamil, wife. Specifically with respect to obstacles that I wasn't expecting. Obviously I expected a little bit. It's the language barrier specifically with respect to words that have literal translations that don't quite work in English. For example, there's a word in Tamil that literally translates to useless. But the Tamil word is often used colloquially to mean something closer to not currently needed or useless. For my current purposes, but that doesn't stop my wife from describing all kinds of people, including me, frequently, as straight up useless, including to their faces, and then wondering why these people either get angry or just avoid her. Also, multiple different Tamil words all tend to be shorthanded into the word thing, which means she often talks like some kind of comedic parody of I don't honestly know, largely unaware of the fact, I need a thing for this thing. It's over by the thing. Can you get it? Looks at me not moving. You just going to stand there and be useless? TL. DR. A lot of normal Tamil phrases literally translate into uber bitchy English ones. I am white. She is black. Taking selfies in the sun is a B. The picture either turns out way too dark or way too bright. My wife is white. I am Asian. Children go through stages of self-identifying white or Asian. When he was young, my son was annoyed when my wife visited him during school lunch because his friends found out he had a white mother. Now, older, he is not much into Asian culture. I'm mixed, white, mom, and Asian dad. It's weird for us. When I am with Asian friends they treat me like I'm white. That is, impressed that I can use chopsticks. But when I'm with my white friends they treat me like I'm Asian. It's a bit confusing. We could really use our own island nation of halfies only. Yes, irony. My husband and I went to Disney World with my side of the family. So there's 11 black people and only one white man. We're in line and when it's our turn for the ride, they always cut the line off when it got to him. Even after telling the ticket person there were 12 in our group. If he was 5th in line, our group just had to magically stop there. Everyone had to explain that he was in fact part of our group and no he wasn't trying to cut us. I get this 100%. Husband is Latino and I'm as white as they come. Last time we flew, I followed my husband to the TSA agent checking boarding passes. TSA agent, white man, screamed at me and told me to get back in line. I told him we were traveling together. He then apologized profusely. trying to explain to my kids what they actually are. I'm half black and half Indian. India. My wife is half black and half white. Never been an issue for us. I think the only person who may have said anything about it is her mom. Grandma, raised by her grandmother, calls her mom. I remember the first time I met her grandma. She didn't like me because she liked her previous boyfriend. One of the first things she said to me was, "You know she's black, right?" Something inside me wanted to joke and go "New" and get up and storm out. But then something told me she wouldn't get the joke. Asian. Grew up in the US South. Got picked on all the time. It was just a way of life. Things got a lot better as kids got more mature over time and as society has gotten less and less racist over the past few decades. Grew up and married a white woman, and even though we remained in the South, I feel like we are rarely ever even viewed as an interracial couple, let alone discriminated against. But if you ask my wife, she feels like people treat us and her differently all the time. She says we get looks wherever we go. People have a problem with her last name, the separate checks thing, and other stuff. Me, I'm just glad that they don't appear to be spitting in our food or running up to us and telling us how ungodly we are. I am a black woman married to a Korean man. Here's just a few of the dumb things we endure. 1. When we go out to eat, we get our leftover food in separate bags and they try to give us separate checks. 2. We run a business and are 50/50 partners together and are successful. It is always my husband's business and his money. Because you know, Asians are always rich. Not sure if prejudiced or sexist. 3. People assume we are never together in lines, at bars, or social events. Can't tell you the amount of times men openly hit on me right next to my husband. Usually only happens if we are just standing next to each other and not really talking. If we are talking, they assume we work together. 4. The stares. OMG, the stares we get. We might as well be Martians. We don't even need to be doing anything special. Just walking in the mall or down the street. People openly gawk. 5. Once time when I went to go test drive a Cadillac, I told the salesperson what I was looking for and he went off to find the car. It took him a really long time for him to locate the model of vehicle I wanted, over half an hour. So I popped my head in the office to tell him, never mind. He then asked me for my social security number. What? I've been buying cars for over 20 years. Never had I had someone ask me for my SSN when trying to test drive a car. Also, I was currently driving a Lexus, so I have been used to dealing with premium dealerships. Now, my husband was sitting next to me in the waiting area and was flabbergasted. I was doing all the talking since it was my car that I was looking to test drive and possibly buy. At that point, my husband stands up and tells the salesman that we were leaving, since he was obviously trying to pre-qualify before even showing me the car. The looks and stares we got, plus an apology. I think that whole situation really hit home for my husband, that even between minorities there are the good ones and the bad ones. It hurt his feelings for a long time. Because, to each other, I am just his wife, and he is just my husband. Nothing more, nothing less. On a side note, no one in his family has ever been rude or nasty to me. They have always treated me with respect, and also with the deference my position within our family holds. My husband is the eldest son of the eldest son. My family has been nice and respectful to my husband as well. That's one fight we didn't have to have. Although I will say we have had our own issues in building our marriage because of our different cultures. We have since learned what is important to each other and to respect and support that. At the end of the day, you are married to each other and not each other's cultures or families. You have to respect and love the person you lay down with at night. The stares. OMG, the stares we get. We might as well be Martians. We don't even need to be doing anything special. Just walking in the mall or down the street. People openly gawk. I'm white and my foster daughter is black. We couldn't go anywhere without people, both white and black, staring. Did get a lot of supportive comments from people, so that was always nice. I always get told, well, he isn't one of those Mexicans after they make an extremely racist remark before finding out that my fiance is Mexican, and that his parents legally came here from Mexico. That sounds like the she doesn't sound act black that I get every now and then. White male, black female husband wife team here. We've experienced our fair share of obstacles. 1. We were around a liberal town right outside NJ, New Hope, and we were spit on by a motorcyclist on his way out of Main Street. 2. We were in Alexandra VA at one of the old museums, and I went to go pay for my wife and I was stopped at the cash register as I was overpaying. 3. I was stopped by the police before and the cop actually pulled me out of the car and asked me if she was a prostitute and would not believe me until I showed our wedding photo that's in my wallet. 4. Recently I was told I support Donald Trump because I was a white male by some of her not so close family members. I would say most folks in an interracial marriage probably have enough stories to create a book on subtle and not so subtle racism. Whoa, WTF. White woman here married to a Asian man. We live in a rural area. Lots of staring at us in public. Oh, the staring. Including people who will crane their head all the way around to stare at us going by in, say, the mall or Walmart. The worst part for me is the number of people, women, who, after learning I'm married to an Asian guy, say something along the lines of, "Oh, I couldn't. I've just never been attracted to Asian men," or words to that effect. You would not believe the number of people who say this straight to my face. Who knows why? What are they expecting me to say? This is way worse than the people who ask things like, does he speak much English when he's lived in Canada longer than they've been alive? I've just never been attracted to Asian men. You would not believe the number of people who say this straight to my face. As an Asian male, I barely believe the number of people who say this to my face, including once while being hit on. I like you, and I'm not usually into, Asians. I took my half Jamaican wife to see my parents in Wales. Deepest, darkest Wales. We then used the opportunity to have a long weekend holiday down there. Turns out a lot of the locals down there are still racist as frick. One pub we had to leave as it was clear the locals were joking with the staff about my missus. The coward switched to Welsh when we walked in and they noticed her, so we couldn't understand, but the intonation and the sneers were clear. We had food on the way, so frick that place. Hope they did spit in it so they then couldn't eat it themselves. White guy, Asian wife. 2 kids have red and blonde hair. My wife is constantly offered babysitting jobs because people see her taking care of her own goddamn children. Food, it can be trying to agree on this sometimes. Our fridge is east meets west. Wife gets confused as the babysitter on occasion. Having in-laws that live across the planet has been difficult. Would be nice to get a bit of help from them. My family's rolled with the food in an amazingly American fashion. My mom makes an amazing sinigang but with mostly Western veggies. To my knowledge, the only hard ban in my film's home is ballot. I believe the standing threat is divorce via death. I grew up in an upper middle class, all white North Shore Long Island town and went to a private school that was all upper middle class to flat out rich white people. I didn't really know any non-white people until I went to undergrad at NYU. My family is very, very conservative and so I put off introducing them to my, then, black girlfriend as long as I could. I tried to give her as much warning as I could to the point where we talked about if we should end our relationship, but when the time came, if my family viewed her any differently from any white girl I've brought home, it's never been mentioned. They've always treated her normally. They treat her much better than my sister's white husband, but he's a crappy guy. On the other hand, her family has never really accepted me and it's the only real source of conflict in our marriage. Her mom still lives in Brooklyn but her father moved to Baltimore, which is good for us. My mother-in-law accepts that I'm a good husband, father, and provider but wishes I was a good black husband, father, and provider. Her father sees me as nothing more than the white man who stole his daughter from whatever black guy he wants to introduce her to. And there's always a new black guy she's telling her about despite us being married with 2 kids. Her siblings are a mixed bag. The ones in NY mostly like me well enough while wishing I was black, but her Baltimore ones won't accept she's with a white guy. None of that really bothers me per se. What bothers me is when our kids are with them. A car ride home after a day with my in-laws consists of me explaining why it's okay that their mother married a white man, and sometimes things are said that gets them really, really upset. My wife wants our kids to have a relationship with her side of the family, which I certainly understand, but I don't like the things they say to our kids about me. My family is very conservative, and so I put off introducing them to my then black girlfriend as long as I could. I know what you actually meant, but I initially read this as your girlfriend used to be black. LOL. I'm Chinese. My so is white. A funny and minor observation we had was that me overfeeding her was a cultural thing. Like, whenever I was snacking on something I would break her off a piece without question, and it used to hurt my feelings a little bit when she said she didn't want it. Or when I cook. I always cook more than a meal's worth, so whenever she finished her serving, I would refill her plate without even asking her. To her, I'm full means I don't want to eat a single bite more, whereas to me, I'm full means don't serve me another full-sized portion. It sounds stupid, but it actually took me a while getting used to the fact that someone is unwilling to eat more food and that there's always room for a little more isn't a universal mindset. It was already expected, but unpleasant still. Me, Asian female, adopted and raised by white family, husband, white male of German descent, grandma is Oma and grandpa Opa still, raised in rural South USA, mostly by father and stepmother who could be a Paula Deen clone. My husband's big reveal that he was dating a non-white girl. His dad says, "Well son, we're just glad she isn't black." His meeting said that, "You don't have to squint. It's not that dark in here." This was meant as a joke and I took it as such since there was not malicious intent, just ignorant joking. I replied with, "Frick you, where's the beer?" Asked to come for Christmas 2 years later and walk in on husband's stepmother's family giving orations on the sin and prohibitions in the Bible of the Germanic and Asiatic tribes intermixing. We were the family shame until his stepsister was impregnated by a black man out of wedlock. She went on to steal a lot of money for drugs and declare herself a lesbian. Really took the heat off us. Pleasant surprise was from his very German and traditional grandparents. His Oma and mostly blind Opa were immediately accepting. His Opa said, "White, black, purple, it all looks the same to me." They were very pleased I was making him finish college and make something of himself as well as procreating to carry on the vet shrinking family name. This is so relatable. I brought home a black girl once and I'm still waiting for one of my sisters to get pregnant or hooked on drugs to take the heat off me. White woman, Latin, immigrant, husband. I didn't expect to have to clarify we're together so much. Like, go to a checkout counter. Both put our things on it. Person rings up mine and gives me a total. Like the guy standing 6 inches to my left has nothing to do with me. Just really strange. Seems to happen rarely where we live. Major East Coast city. Happened a lot on our honeymoon Western National Parks. White man, Native American wife. I have never met a more chill, based, honest, or strong group of people than my in-laws. Crap on reservations, in US at least, is completely insane, is full of daily struggle, loss, and silent pain. But my wife's family deals with it without batting an eye. My mom is, stereotypically, high-strung and sometimes says stuff ignorantly that would probably get her kicked out of a black or Latino household. My in-laws think it's all completely hilarious. Every mistake is entertainment. Nothing is sacred. They seriously helped me improve my outlook on life. Not sure if it's an obstacle as much as just people who are unsure what to say. My wife's white cousin married a black guy. They were in the hospital for their second child together. When their baby boy popped out, his skin tone was lighter than the nurse was expecting apparently. That's when she looked at the husband nervously and said, "Don't worry, he'll get darker." No joke. He told me that and I couldn't stop laughing. In my case, people think we're interracial. My skin tone tricks people. We're both Latino Caucasian, but he has tan skin, and I've got a skin tone with a resemblance to Casper. Incidentally, I grew up in a more Latino culture and speak fluent Spanish, which is not the case for him. It mostly results in funny confusions from people who make assumptions or are surprised when I speak Spanish. His paternal grandma, who was born in Mexico, did make a comment about him picking a white girl when we first got together. I responded in Spanish that they make Mexicans in my color, too, and she got a good laugh. White woman married to a black African immigrant. Our relationship has been interesting because our issues usually stem from cultural differences rather than race. However, he does often ask me to explain various aspects of Black American culture and I just look at him like, really? What about me looks like I have any authority on this subject? I'm Hispanic and he's white. I was born and raised in the US, and so were my parents. I'm super light-skinned and never really identified as culturally Latina until I tried to fit in with his family. They're quiet, well-mannered, and don't really talk about feelings. My family is, and I am, louder, more honest, and I guess a little rough around the edges. In comparison, I had never really noticed before, but I guess we do exhibit some cultural differences. Haha, I remember the first time I realized this. I live in Miami, so mainly Hispanic culture. Friend from Minnesota took his girlfriend who is Peruvian to meet his family in Minnesota. When she went to say hi, she went to hug his mom. I guess that doesn't happen up there and his mom instantly hated him. We all found it so odd hearing this story cause this is how we usually greet anybody. I think the hardest thing I've experienced is having the people at Walmart search my black girlfriend's bags and checking the receipt for each and everything. And then when I try to hand them my receipt to do it as a white guy, they go, "Oh no, you're fine, go ahead." Or stories she has told me about being very blatantly followed by store workers when she's gone to upper end stores. Crap hurts, man. Not interracial married, but the product of one. My white mom had to explain that, yes, those little brown kids are indeed her children, like, all the goddamn time. Strangers would ask her whose kids we were, and then just look confused when she told them. It probably didn't help that she refused to explain, on the grounds of frick those people. But seriously, frick those people though. Interracial, Black and Native American mix, woman, white husband. I didn't expect to have to confirm that we were a couple, a lot. Example, we are in a store. My husband asks a question to the cashier then steps away to look at something. Cashier, to me, here is the item your friend was asking about. Me, my husband, thanks. I'm never a bee about it. It's not really a big deal, just unexpected. We really are blessed. We live in the US. And yes, racism is still a big problem, but if anyone is going to receive it, it'll be me, not him, not us. Things are changing, and for the better. I was adopted as an infant by a Caucasian couple in New England. The things they had to deal with, and only 27 years ago, blow my mind. Think positive. I love my marriage and my family. This is why I try to refer to everyone's partner as friend. I don't know if the person with them is their spouse, friend, sibling, cousin, etc. And it'd be really awkward to assume one way or the other. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.